Hey, Mike.L.Levine here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to go over a brief history of the five pocket jean. 1853, Levi Strauss, who at that time was a European immigrant, opened up a dry goods store in San Francisco. The store sold lots of products, including fabric for those people who made their own clothing. Um, Soon after, during the opening of the store, Jacob Davis, a local tailor, created a work pant for one of his customers, and he did something unique, which used copper rivets in the pockets to make the pant stronger. In 1873, Jacob Davis approached Levi Strauss to see if they would go in together on a factory to produce this pant, which they patented and referred it to as the five pocket jean. The name of the jean originates from from the city Genoa, Italy, which was favored by Levi Strauss, and it was a very well-known city for producing cotton fabrics at that time. The fabric denim actually was achieved mistakenly by a company in France, which was located in the city of Nimes. So therefore that later became the fabric denims from Nimes, and that's how we got the name denim and jean. Um, Indigo dye, which is used to dye denim, is actually synthetic dye. So the actual natural version of this comes from a plant called the Indigo tinctoria plant, and that color is not very durable, so it washed out quickly out of the clothing and wasn't very suitable. So a quick synthetic version was achieved in 1856 by a guy named William Perkins. William Perkins created the first synthetic blue dye, and which was a vat dye. So natural indigo is a vat dye. The synthetic version is a vat dye, which means that it's not water soluble. So it's usually handled in a powder form. And when they do use it to color fabric, they have to constantly be mixing it, or it would separate it from the water. So part of the dye distillation process of making synthetic indigo vat dye requires a chemical called aniline. Aniline is kind of toxic, actually very toxic in its pure form, and it's dumped out by the dye house. It's dumped out by the laundry who does all these fancy washes. And there's even some that, as long as there's color in the fabric, it's there present, so that means it's rubbing on your skin and getting absorbed by your skin when you wear the pants. So aniline, obviously we've been wearing it for years. Nobody's really gotten sick from it, from just wearing the clothes, but the accumulated effects can be detrimental. And as we dump more and more into our wastewater, it becomes more and more present, and uh, the risk becomes greater. So the growing sustainable market has been under pressure, or pressurizing the regular market to come up with a source to achieve indigo dye, but without it being a toxic process, which we do now. Aniline free uh, denim in Vietnam. So if you're interested in sustainable, economical, or environmentally friendly type processes, you won't tell the difference between our fabric and dyeing process and any others. It's completely identical. Please reach out to me, and certainly we could talk about making denim and jeans for you. Denim is what we call a yarn dye process. That means that we dye the yarn before we weave it, and that's how you achieve basically the blue face of the fabric, but with the white back, because the white yarn is the fill yarn going across the back. Sometimes those yarns are colored too, and but you can see that the white does come through to the surface, and the heavier we wash the pant, the more contrast we get, blue and white, and that's what allows for us to have those unique wash processes. There are many weaves used in modern day denim. Typically is the 3x1 twill. That's the one that's most popular. But also some fancier twills used and usually they're lighter weight denim is 2x1 weave, which means that the twill line is going to get much steeper. Or you can see predominantly in Wrangler jeans is a broken twill. Denim, as in most fabrics, is intentionally skewed. This is to prevent the fabric from twisting or the legs from twisting. So, if any of you as kids wore pants and you remember where the side seam or the inseam came up over your knee and actually irritated a little bit, that was caused because the twist of the yarns all going in the same direction make the fabric want to twist. So what we do is we skew the fabric as we weave it intentionally to counteract this. So that's why you'll see denim and most fabrics, when we check them for skewing, we're actually checking for not to go below a certain minimum, otherwise you will end up with twisted leg problem. You know, contrarily, if you go too far and skew too steep, you create the problem all over again. So anyways, I want to go over some basic construction details of the Levi pants. So we'll switch to the overhead cam. And then we'll compare this to, say, how other people choose to make their 5-pocket jeans in future videos. And using this, I guess, the Levi pant as the base or the standard because they're really the ones who created the industry. So stick around. Okay, so here's the jean. This is the 514 Levi. So pretty standard in the market today. And you can basically attribute that to everything Levi's done. One is, you know, your back pocket kind of flares out, and the stitching on the back pocket going from top to bottom here changes from basically, this one's a 3/8, but some go up to even 5/8 wide stitching, and then go 1/4 inch here along the bottom, and then they flare back out again. So that prevents you from using 2-needle machine really to make the pocket. It's either these are always automatically set, or you have to go single needle around 2 different times. This is the scalloping on the back pocket design. Also, you know, pretty much standard now on every 5-pocket pant that you wear. So here your top stitch seams, which is on the back, the seat seam and the yoke, and the inseam are all what we call felled seams. So they're interlocked. So basically the fabric is turned like this one time and then turned like this and held together, and you stitch through. That is pretty much the standard for a workwear pant. That seam is about as strong as you can get. It's the most durable that you can. Now, most jeans up until size, at least waist size 38 or 40, are going to only have 5 belt loops. Sometimes you'll see where they'll have 2 back here and be 6, or more of the dress pants or casual pants will have 7. It is a cost factor, especially in a company like Levi that produces their own jeans. So more belt loops, the more cost they have in them. So sticking with 5 actually is a cost savings feature for them. As I mentioned, one of the things that they patented originally in the first 5-pocket was copper rivets. So you have rivets on your pockets. Another cost-saving method that you could use is by taking the coin pocket and allowing it to go underneath the inside of the front pocket here. That would save you having to put a rivet in this corner. As well, you could put the belt loop on this pocket corner and just avoid this rivet as well. So here you have 6 rivets on the pockets. Metal tack button, right? So also standard workwear. So you're thinking workwear durable, so no sew-on button like you would have on most casual pants, work pants, right? Here is one of the variations that you'll see, and I think it was done here also to save money. This is a closed seam on the side seam, so as you can see, it's 5 threads going down the side. It's not an open seam, and so some of your nicer pants are going to be open seam, and some of the Levi models are. They have this stitch. Usually it goes down about 6 or 7 inches from the top of from the bottom of the waistband. This one's 6 inches. This is just to keep the seam flat against your hip and give it a little bit more strength in the stress point. My argument would be, first of all, this should end in a bar tack, and it's not. But also, it should come down a little further to the bottom of the pocketing. As you can see in this one, the stitch stops right here. But this point where the pocketing here reaches the first that stitch in the overlock machine, that's a stress point that normally gets damaged in the wash. And you can see they recognize it because there's actually a navy thread bar tack right there holding that down. To me, it would have been much simpler to just bring the top stitch on the side seam down to here and then tack it from the outside. But instead, they had to tack it through here like that. Um, Actually cost them more, I think. Added operation. Um, Bottom hem is always a double turn, clean finish, single needle lock stitch. Our waistband is a chain stitch, unique to Levi. You probably won't see anywhere else, where your chain stitch actually goes off the end of the band like that. You'll see it here on both sides. Levi uses a method that when they actually set this seam with a folder, the folder bends down so they can cut the band and tuck it in and still finish with the chain stitch. Most pants that you'll see today, any other jean pant, the chain stitch is unsewn a little bit, and the operator who makes this stitch going around has to sew all three sides. Here you can see they only had a stitch at the end of the band, and it's actually done on a tacking machine, a programmable tacker, which does both sides at the same time. It does two stitches here and one row of stitching there. Probably more secure to hold the chain stitch from unraveling, but definitely this is a difficult skill to learn for a sewing operator, and has to be in a factory that has a stable employee base, because if you have lots of turnover, you're not going to be able to train the people to do that efficiently. That's kind of the construction of the 5-pocket jean. Some things that I would tell you to be careful of if you're making jeans is this in particular. You can kind of see where the seam here is folding to the back, and therefore the puckering is happening on the back panel. And then right here, the seam twisted and rolled to the other direction and then twisted back here. So these particular points actually become irritating, especially if they happen higher up in the pant, where they actually will rub against your skin if the pant is fitting you tightly. Here on this side, on this particular leg, you can see the seams, when it was washed, stayed all in one direction. All the puckering is going down the back side of the panel. And so this side is actually more comfortable to wear than the other. And so one thing is, like I said, if it would bring the stitch down a little bit lower, it would help. And then maybe actually consider doing some kind of little hidden navy bar tack that just would blend in, maybe 2 points along the side seam just to hold that seam over. Or in the better make is to do the open seam all the way down and press it open, and then you don't have this uncomfortable risk of the seam rolling over and causing that bump. Okay, so we'll switch back to the front viewing camera. Okay, so I hope you liked my video and you found it informative. If you're interested in making either aniline free or even normal regular denim with the aniline, please reach out to me in the contact information just below this video. I work for Aurora Investment Group. We have 22 factories in Vietnam. We have the largest open capacity or available capacity in Vietnam, and we certainly make 5-pocket jeans among other things. If you like my video, sign into YouTube, click the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I put out a video, and give me a thumbs up or a comment as well. I hope to get into future videos with more information regarding the different types of washes we do on denim, the different types of dye methods and weaves. So stick around and stay tuned, and in the meantime, please dress smart.